Hello gorgeous lady, it's Tara here, and in today's video we're going to be talking all things anxiety and what you can do about it. So anxiety is one of those all-consuming sensations within the body, and I think it's fair to say that anxiety definitely affects you mentally, physically, emotionally and energetically, and it is one of those sensations that can be like a fluttering, almost like a flutter in your heart, a flutter in your solar plexus or belly area of angst, right the way through to where actually you feel like you've gone in the other end where you're pretty much having a panic attack. It's all consuming, you can't think clearly, perhaps feeling incredibly nervous, incredibly restless, highly tense, because you tend to find people who are anxious are really tense, and you know, your mind racing, and really the racing thoughts, whilst they could be a number of things, but you tend to be in that place where you're feeling that sort of sense of impending danger, panic, that sort of sense of impending doom, really, of something major about to happen that you can't control. And this creates this physical response within the body because your heart rate starts to elevate, your breathing starts to get fast and shallow, you tend to get sweaty, clammy palms, you tend to get quite sweaty, full stop, and you can end up feeling really weak and really tired. But this is when you can come into this really interesting realm of wired and tired, where you might be feeling so exhausted, but you can't switch off. And you can't get a good night's sleep because you're so wired, and you tend to find that your mind's just so full and racing that it makes it very difficult to get the rest that you know you so desperately need and crave. But likewise, even during the day, you're not really able to focus and concentrate on any one thing because you're so restless and restless minded that you're not even able to wear yourself out in the same way during the day that perhaps you would be able to when you're in calmer places. So it's horrible. There is no other word for it. It is all consuming, and it is a full-on sensory experience. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of my tonics, and these are things that I use as part of my toolkit, that my clients use, and that they all help at best take the edge off of it, or not at best, but you know, they at least help to take the edge off of it, but they also help to create a little bit of space to allow some calm in, and that calm in amongst a very turbulent, choppy sea of angst is such welcome relief. So let's get on with some of my suggested tonics and balms to get you some relief from this heightened angst. So first things first, I want to encourage you to consider the language you use. Do you say, I'm anxious? I'm really anxious right now. I'm really panicky. Or actually, I encourage you to start, or I invite you to start using the language that starts to say, I observe my body's displaying anxiety right now. Likewise, you can have things like, I'm aware I'm feeling really anxious right now. And what that does is it stops you from owning the anxiety. It stops it being so close and stops it being all of you. It allows a little bit of distance, and the power of language and words is so strong. Because if you tell your brain that you're observing that you've got anxiety happening in the body, if you tell your brain that you're aware that it's feeling anxious, then your brain can be in a much more empowered place to go, oh, okay, if this is what's being experienced, what can we do about it? Because it's got a bit more distance. Whereas when you say, I'm anxious, there's no thought in that. That just is what it is. It's like saying, I'm Tara. You know, and when we own it, it becomes harder for us to be able to acknowledge it, but to become aware of what we might need within that moment. So really look at your language and create a bit of distance for yourself. When you're in an anxious state, my second tip is about working with your breath. Now, as I already said, when you're when you're coming into this very heightened anxiety state, your breath will get very shallow and very quick, very rapid, and we want to slow it down. So instead of your breath controlling you, you're beginning to influence your breath. And this is very, very powerful when working with this very heightened and consuming emotions. So I suggest you do something called samvriti breath, which in yoga is the breath of equal inhalation and exhalation. So take some time, sit quietly, have about 3 to 5 minutes, set a timer because you'll want to spend time with this, and allow yourself on each inhalation to be exactly the same count as the exhalation. I like working with a count of 4, but find your own rhythm with this. You might want a 3 or you might want a count of 6. Have a play. So what you do is you inhale. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you will keep that going for 3 to 5 minutes. But do this at a breath that feels comfortable to you, doesn't leave you anxious and wanting more breath, but also likewise isn't so quick and so rapid that actually it's keeping the breath going pretty much exactly as it was before. You want to start calming it down. And you might even find that after a couple of minutes that actually you want to increase the count. So instead of being 4, you might feel that 6 is available to you. Work with what feels good for you. Number 3, anxiety is a very charged emotion. And depending upon where you are in the sensory experience of it, if you're in a very, very adrenaline fueled part of it, then I suggest that you do something to help burn off that adrenaline, that charge that comes in from anxiety. So some of my favorite suggestions for this are to go and do something like a fast walk, go and do a run, go for a jog, go for a run, do something really physical like HIIT. I remember when I used to do HIIT, especially if I was experiencing anxiety at the time, like I had no time to think about the anxiety because I was so busy being in my body and just trying to get through the class. And so give yourself that opportunity to really allow yourself to get lost and to be taking deep breaths, because you will when you're physically exerting yourself. You're burning off the anxiety charge, but also, you're able to get out of your head and stop thinking for a little while, and that can be such welcome relief during times of angst. Likewise, if you're finding that you are more tired and perhaps exhausted, then look to do something that's super nurturing. Really come into this idea about replenishment. Look for things like restorative yoga, yin yoga, yoga nidra. These are amazing at helping soothe the body, soothe the muscles that might have got really tense, engage with the breath, come into your body. And what's great is any of the things I've talked about, especially if it's a class, is that you hand your time and energy over to somebody, so you haven't got to think for an hour. You are being led, you are being guided, and that can offer such wonderful respite, especially when you're the one having to perhaps make all the decisions and think so often, that somebody else can take that over for you. It's brilliant. Tip number 4. This essential oil blend, Adaptive, I've not come across anything else like it. It is superb for anxiety. It is calming, soothing, and really like my number one companion when experiencing this flooding sensation of anxiety. And many of my clients have also really, really benefited from it too. Almost everyone who's tried Adaptive, I'll get a message, thank you, it's just so soothing. I've got people using it for exam stress, for helping them navigate their mental health right the way through to new jobs, any of these things. It really is a wonderful, wonderful oil. And you can use it, you know, by placing a few drops in your palms of your hands, rubbed together, taking 3-5 deep inhalations, exhalations. But you can also wear it throughout the day. Pop it on your pulse points, your neck, so that this scent starts to elevate up. You can smell it throughout the day. But don't just use it once. Take this with you. Apply it multiple times throughout the day. It really is such a wonderful oil. And the more you use it throughout the day, again, you've got these moments of calm. You know, things can change so quickly. So help to anchor yourself. Use something like this as a tool, and it doesn't need to be a big public announcement. You know, you can use it really sneakily that this is for you, and it just smells delicious too. And then finally, supplements. I get asked a lot about various different supplements, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about vitamins and minerals as opposed to more of the herbal supplements that are out there. But if you are a woman and you are experiencing anxiety and fatigue, and you are menstruating, still have periods, go and get your iron levels checked. Because we bleed each month, we can lose blood, which means that we can lose iron, and that can have us with low oxygen levels in our body, and that makes such a difference to our mind. Seems so far apart, doesn't it? But it's actually so intrinsically linked, because ultimately the body doesn't have enough oxygen and it's generating a stress state, which is that fight or flight response. So go and get them checked. And if you do happen to have low iron, then the remedy is very simple. You can then start taking an iron remedy to be able to help boost and get your levels back up. And you'll notice an impact pretty quick as well with taking something like iron. The next supplement that I suggest is something called magnesium. About 90% of the population is deficient with magnesium, and so an all-round magnesium supplement, you want about 300 to 500 mg of it coming in a day. And it, again, if this is something that your body needs, you'll start to experience a calming effect within a few days of starting to take it. It's great to help sleep, it's great to help anxiety and to calm things down, but it's also great for PMT as well, and a whole host of other things. Magnesium really is a great supplement. And then finally, one called 5-HTP. This is brilliant if you find that you tend to get caught in this loop between anxiety and low mood. It's a really good stabilizer, and well worth checking out. All of these things, iron, magnesium and 5-HTP, you'll be able to get from natural food and health shops. But by all means, do message me. I've got some brands that I do recommend for a number of my clients, because you want to get good quality with these. And likewise, I would love to hear how you found the information, what things you've tried already perhaps that I've suggested. Likewise, what's helped, perhaps if there's something else that you can suggest that might help somebody else. Let me know how you go. And in the meantime, from my heart to yours, I'm sending you so much love. And look at some of these tonics, really do investigate, because anxiety is hard work and horrible. It just is. And I wish you all the best as you go through, and know that just because one of these things didn't perhaps work this time around, it might work in another setting. Likewise, get curious. Learn things that are going to be super helpful and soothing for you during this time, because we all need different things, different days. And by all means, I am here. If you'd like to book in, do message me and we can have a 30-minute confidential chat, which I offer out to everybody who may be experiencing difficulty, so that you can calm your mind, tap into your energies and heal naturally. Sending you much love. Bye.